I'm not used to her smile 8 years down the line, and I know 19 years.
It can never be enough.
I'm not serving breakfast. If you want, you can cook, and I'm continuing with the cleaning.
Because God is the one who has blessed us with this child. So He has the manual.
There are some people who, when they come to your place, they belittle you.
I had a plethora of expectations.
I realized that there is beauty in dark ladies.
When I get money, I only use it for three things. For fare, credit, and just a small bit just to keep my pocket busy.
This is Family Times. Hello, viewer. Welcome again to Family Times. This is the program where we get to talk about matters family. We are glad you could join us. Today we are going to talk about bringing up children in the 21st century. And to help us do that, we have a panel of beautiful people. I would want to introduce or to start with my brother, and I want you to introduce Nyagod Mesa in your own way. Go ahead.
Solomon Oguto Tieno is my name, and I'm privileged. A great privilege, and at times I say that privileges are not supposed to be abused. She is my wife.
Please introduce yourself. Tell us your name.
I'm Maureen Were Ogutu.
Maureen and Solomon, we are glad that you could join us. Welcome to this show. How long have you been together in marriage?
How long?
6 years.
They're 6.
He has to confirm that. And then we have our co-host. As always, it is a pleasure to have you here. Introduce yourselves. Let me start with Richard. Introduce your wife.
Thank you very much. This is my wife, Tabitha Opio, and I'm Richard Ogu.
Thank you so much. Lovely couple. This lady sitting next to me here, I would want you to introduce yourself and then introduce me in the best way that you can.
Hi viewer, I'm Linda Riaga, and next to me is my best half, Dave Riaga.
It melts my heart when you say that. Thank you so much. Bringing up children in the 21st century. We start with a Bible verse. I want us to read Psalms 127 verse 4. Psalms 127 verse 4. If you have your Bible, please open it. We are going to have an interactive show. How do we bring up children in the 21st century? Psalms 127 verse 4.
It says, as arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth.
As arrows are in the hands of a mighty man, so as children in the
Of the youth.
children of the youth. Richard,
Yes.
bringing up children. Children are a gift from God. How do we bring them up?
True, children are a gift from God. The text that has just been read tells us something. They are like arrows in the hands of a mighty man. You want to imagine what a mighty man will be doing in arrows in his hands. You see danger. You see situations which can be very difficult. And therefore, before a mighty man, we must treat very carefully. And this is what I think children today need. The attention that cannot just let them be. We need to draw a line and take them according or towards that place where we think they can be in the safety in the hands of God.
Yes, where they can be safe. They can be safe in the hands of God.
In that safety.
Yes, Mr. Solo.
I love it. When I look at that text, there are some verses which I cannot, there are some statements which they connect themselves but in a hidden way.
Yes.
Because when you are having an arrow, remember there's a quiver.
Yes.
Where you keep the arrows. At the same time, when you want to use the arrow,
Yes.
you must be a sharp shooter.
Very well to use it.
Otherwise, you'll waste your arrows.
Otherwise, you'll waste it. Which means you have to train yourself
Yes.
in the direction you want your arrow to go.
Are you taking us to Proverbs 22 verse 6?
Possibly train up a child in the way, but remember the moment you put your arrow in the bow and you want to throw it, it has to follow a direction which yourself has directed it into. Yeah.
That
Probably we need to read that so
Yes.
that we connect with what my friend Solomon is saying,
Yes.
that you need to direct your arrow to the direction you want it to go.
Yes.
The Bible says in Proverbs 22 verse 6.
Yes.
Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
Yeah.
I want us to discuss the model of the Bible on training up a child. And just to ask, to confirm to our viewers that we are talking to the right people, Tabby and Richard, are you blessed with a child?
Oh yeah, we are blessed with one son.
Solomon and Maureen?
And we are blessed with two
Two
sons.
sons.
Linda?
2 beautiful daughters.
Now, we have confirmed that these people are going to talk about what they know and what they understand.
Yes.
The Bible is talking about a model, giving us a direction on how we need to train our children. Tabby?
Yeah, training up a child is, according to God's way, is very important because God is the one who has blessed us with this child. So he has the manual. He has the manual. You know, most of the times we buy machines and they come with a manual, how to use this. Isn't it amazing that God has given us a manual, the Bible? Because when we use the Bible, which is God's way, the child will definitely go the right way. It does not mean that we will not have issues. We will, but the child will remember.
Now, I may have jumped the gun, but let me just come back and ask this question, that you have 2 sons, we have 2 daughters, you have a son.
Yes.
Did you choose to have 2 sons? Or rather, did you choose to have 2 children, or you are still in the studio planning for others?
According to God's will.
I love
As much as it's according to God's will, I think 2 is not still enough. The last one who is there is the acting last one. We are anticipating of putting more into place.
Tabby.
Let Richard answer that.
Well, boy, not by choice.
Not boy. I'm
Yes.
talking about number.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the sex of the child later on, but I'm talking about the number.
This was by choice. Yes, this was by choice.
By choice.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them whether it was by choice or we are still in the
I'd say
process?
by choice.
By
Yeah.
choice. Children are a gift from
Yeah.
God.
Yes.
And you know, when you're given a gift, you really can't dictate that I want a bigger gift, I want a smaller gift. Now let's come back to what we were talking about, the way of God. Linda, the way of God in bringing up children.
Yeah, I think in the book of Deuteronomy, it says that there's a way that if you want something to operate in this way, you have to, like for example, a human being, you have to train that person. That I want you to do this way, step 1, step 2, and step 3.
That is
And-
Deuteronomy chapter 6 from verse 6.
Yeah, train up a child. We are being asked to train up our children whenever we are sitting down, when walking, when sleeping.
You could just read
Yeah.
the verse so that
It's-
our viewer there could
Deuteronomy chapter.
As Linda is
chapter
looking
6
for the
verse 6.
verse,
Yes, Tabby.
I want to just chip in something. When you're talking about training, I think it starts from the stomach. Most of us wait until the child is over a year. That is when you start, you know, this child has to do this. No, you start training the child from the stomach. Most of the times a woman is pregnant, oh, you know what, I'm craving for this, I'm craving for this, I'm craving for this. And probably most of the times it's always the wrong
And then they
foods.
say, it's not me.
It's the baby.
It's the baby.
Yeah, it's the baby.
Dave,
Richard.
Dave, I've never seen a pregnant woman who doesn't like money.
That's what he says. He says all the time.
For some reason, children have no problem with money. They
Yeah.
could have problems with onions.
Onions
Or tomatoes.
or just any clothes or just people.
Yes.
We are going to talk more about
But no money.
pregnancy, but what Tabby is bringing up is that training begins as early as that.
Yes.
Did you
yes.
get the Deuteronomy?
That's
Yeah,
the point.
Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 6 says, and these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, Thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
So
This means
how many points are we talking about?
4 points. Yeah.
One,
When sleeping, when walking, when lying down, and when
rising up.
Yes.
Do we do this? Is this is the way of God?
Yeah.
This is the way of God. And there are so many examples in the Bible that we can talk about the way that the ideal way that the Bible would want us to bring
raising.
up children. Solomon.
Yeah, yes, I think it is true. My small boy is 2 years.
Yes.
And when we pray in the house, after finishing, if you don't engage him, he will start crying. And you'll have to switch off the TV, and he has to follow you in whatever thing which you say.
Yes, yes.
After saying amen, you'll see him smile. I'm not trying to say that to feel proud or boast, but there's a way on how if you put a child, he will never depart from it.
True. Very true.
Again, they say a child's mind is like an empty CD. Whatever
Actually, it's called tabula rasa.
Yeah, whatever you impart on the mind of your child is what eventually is going to build up his character. So we should be very keen and careful because that's the way they will follow, because the mind works in a funny way. It's like when I communicate one thing, like say, wash the clothes. There's a line that will be drawn. It's called a
neural pathway.
A neural pathway. Then the next time you still tell them, do the clothes, it will still form. Then this child will grow up knowing that I can do the clothes. I can pray. We always pray. So that's how the mind works. So that's what is going to build the character of the child.
I don't want us to forget the point that you have just raised about family time and prayer as far as children are concerned. I like the idea that this little man believes that if he's not engaged, he knows that there is prayer time. Bringing up children in that manner.
Yes.
I have been to situations whereby you get into a house and you need to pray and the children are like, what are we praying for?
Yeah.
Happens.
That means that culture of prayer is not yet inculcated into their minds.
Very right.
So they need
Very
to know that every time you're praying, having a family time, people. Every time there is a family, time, and people are supposed to behave in a manner.
So Dave, there's something which you said before we connected to that one. It is an example which I want my wife to say about my first son. Because there's something which he does. Let her speak, then I qualify a statement.
Okay, there is this statement that says that a child is a photocopy of the parent. Whatever you do is what the child picks. Like my older son is now 5 years. But there are some things that he copies from his dad. Like the dad likes putting his legs like this on the seat. Right from the time he was young, my boy has been doing that. And if he doesn't do that, he doesn't feel all right. If you tell him to stop that, he won't stop because he will be asking himself, why am I stopping and daddy is doing this?
This one brings a problem because even when he's eating, seated on his seat, he'll be raising his legs. You remove that leg, within some few seconds, the leg is back. Which means he has felt that daddy is a perfect example, the true photocopy of the original. So if daddy does this, who am I? I also want to be like daddy. Let me also do what daddy does.
Do you have...
I see similarities between me and my son. I know he picks some of them from me. Linda said that children come in a very clean slate. Yeah, we only need to write in those slates so that they can be what we want them to be. I think children have this ability to learn silently. The most powerful lessons are probably taught in silence.
Because they learn by sight.
They learn by sight, even as they are kids. So we relate with what Solomon is saying. But this gives us, puts us in a place where we need to put a lot of caution in what we do. Because if we do those things which will enhance our children and teach them according to how God wants us to bring them up, then we are sure to have them keep that. And everything that we do, the actions that we make, how we talk to each other, the faces we make before them, probably have a very big lesson, and we must be careful going up there. There's nothing wrong with putting a leg over the other. I think when it comes to eating, probably he needs to settle down and eat very well, and probably are struggling with that, yes. But there are other things which we need to be very careful about, because as photocopies, say, you know, as you said, they like to do that. The first hero a child has is his father. Yeah.
I remember one day my daughter asked me, Daddy, why are you serving more food?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why are you serving more food? And she actually said it in Swahili, and I don't know how I reacted. I actually got offended, but then that was a child. Hey, Daddy, unapakua chakula mingi.
Oh yes.
Now let's talk briefly. Let's talk briefly.
We'll talk about that one after.
After this. Let's talk briefly about the sex of the child before we go for a break.
Yeah.
Solomon and Maureen, did you want boys? Or they say the gender of the child. Did you want boys?
I don't want to talk about this. Let her talk about it.
Actually, my husband wanted a baby girl. That was the first pregnancy. But unfortunately to him, it was a boy.
A boy.
But myself, I was contented.
Arrival has come.
Then the second pregnancy, he waited again to have a baby girl. But unfortunately,
by the way, I even went to the net. Just
Hold on.
Googled some of the signs which shows that this woman is pregnant and she should be having a baby girl. And I was so much convinced this time around, this is a girl. To my dismay, when I went to the hospital, I found another bull.
now when the second one came, it was again a boy. And fortunately, somehow, this boy resembles a girl. He has
some features,
some resemblance. When you put on, when you give him a dress, you will assume he's a girl. So maybe that one gave him some comfort.
No wonder the gentleman insisted that he is still in the process. They still have an
I
acting
never
last
insisted, but the spirit is willing.
the body is still going on. Tell me and Richard, talk about your son.
I was truly speaking, we didn't even go for the, is it ultrasound or whatever?
I don't know those things.
Yeah, we didn't. But Richard thought he was an expert. Said, you know what, you have a girl. We actually even had a name, Christina. Then, when the baby came, voila. He was, Wayne. You know, but we were so happy. You know, it's a blessing, and we thank God. Yeah.
Deva, I think probably all men would normally like to have
girls.
First one as a girl. And the mamas would want to have a boy. So she won this one. And so be it. I mean, God is the one who blesses our children. The sex notwithstanding, we still count that as a blessing.
Linda, talk about our two daughters, bearing in mind that men love girls.
Actually, me, I didn't mind. I didn't settle that I really need a boy or a girl. I said that God gives. He knows why he gives me this particular set and not this one. So I was open-hearted. I'm open. Yes, that one.
Our firstborn, I was actually expecting a baby girl. And I knew from the word go that this is a baby girl. The second born, we weren't sure, because now, you know, I'm satisfied. If I get a boy, that's okay. If we get another girl, that is a plus to me. So the second one, did we go for an ultrasound? We never, but at some point when she went for the clinic, she was told that that's another baby girl. So we were just waiting to confirm, but you know, someone also told us that it can go either way. But that was it. So what is coming out clear is that we have our expectations, but God has a way of doing His own things.
But this, before we proceed, Dave, we have to talk to that person back at home. I know some of them are struggling so much.
Oh, yes.
Because there are some men, when you give them baby girls, it will be trouble. And you can even be sent out from your home.
Actually, in some cultures, they insist that you have to give birth to a baby girl, a baby boy. You can have, I've seen people who struggle, they already have 4 daughters, but the lady is still expecting because they want someone. They want a boy. So it is true that children are a gift from God, and we should not dictate who or what kind of gender our child should have. God has already gifted you with a child. Remember, there is someone who doesn't have a child. Let us briefly introduce the topic discipline just before the break, because I see we still have some more time. Discipline. Talk about the discipline you used to have while you're young, and talk about the discipline today.
Proverbs 29, 15. Do it as we go.
Proverbs
29, 15. And then you jump to 17. Discipline is very essential. Let me give you this analogy, my story. When I was young, my dad wanted to tempt me. I was the first son of my dad, and I'm the first son to a pastor, the retired pastor, Edward Ogutu Nduru. My dad one day found me when I had stolen 50 cents. And he decided to put me on a table, tied me with a rubber band, those ones for bicycles, the old bicycles, the phonics and all those. And he took a cane. He really caned me. Brother, if you take me where there's money right away, I cannot steal.
Solomon, hold on to that tying on the table. We are taking a short break. Dear viewer, I don't think you'd want to miss this experience, this discipline. Even as we take a break, be sure to tune in for more. See you. Welcome back, viewer. This is Family Times. Just before we took the short commercial break, we were talking about discipline. And my brother here was explaining something that you need to explain. But before that, you said a verse. Let's read Proverbs 29,
verses 15.
Then you continue with the discipline you received.
It says, the rod and reproof gives wisdom, but a child left to himself bringeth his mother to shame. 17 says, correct thy son, and he shall give thee rest. Yea, he shall give delight unto thy soul.
Correct your son, and he shall give you peace. A rod will make your child to be upright. But if you spare that, the child will disgrace you. And I like the statement, the child will disgrace you. Another text says, spare the rod, but spoil the child. But one thing which my wife also, I think she is going to qualify, the excessive one will also bring problem. When my dad tied me on that table and he caned me,
no movement.
No movement. When you stand, you stand. Because when you sit, you go back and sit, brother, I tell you, your buttocks will be so painful. When you remember that pain, you can never ever be tempted to steal. And I am proud that pastor is now back at home, retired, peacefully, because here I am again, talking about what he taught me.
Proper discipline.
It was proper.
Now I want us to talk about this discipline. How is discipline? How do you administer, call it discipline? What is discipline and how is it administered, especially to children who are growing up? Linda, you want to go first?
Yeah, what I can say is that before you discipline a child, just sit down, just take time. Sit down and explain to the child, I want to cane you because of 1 or 2 or 3. Because this is bad manners, don't do this again. God is not happy when you do this. So when you cane your child, he will know exactly that this is what I did and it was wrong and it's not good. That's when the child will easily escape that habit again one more time. But if you just cane the child, not explain to the child that I'm caning you because this is what you did and this is the negative repercussion it brings, then I think the child will grow up to be defiant. And
So you agree with the child first before?
No, we discuss and I tell him or her the reason why this thing is not good. I'm caning you because this thing is bad.
Tabi?
I disagree with you just a little bit. Most of us when we hear discipline, the first thing that comes to our mind is caning. I don't believe it's true. You do not have to cane a child with everything that they do.
Yeah, yeah.
And it also depends with the age.
Yeah.
Because the way I'm going to handle a 15-year-old is not the way I'm going to handle a 3-year-old.
Yes.
Because a 3-year-old, the brain has not developed much compared to the 15. So there are different ways of dealing with a situation. Like growing up, we were told, don't play in the rain. We don't even know why. You know, don't, when you're eating, don't put your hands on the floor. We have no idea why. I think at times, and these children listen. You'll be so shocked at your 2-year-old, the way you're going to talk to him and tell him, you know what, Baba, when you do this and this, it is not right. Because of one, go to the level of a child, you know, and your child you'll be so surprised that your child will understand as they grow. But all the times, kiboko, you'll be shocked. Many of us, or in our generation, we had a lot of kiboko, just like Pastor Sana said. But some have gone the wrong direction. Because they're like, you know what, after all, there is going to be kiboko. You understand? Yeah, so kiboko is not the solution.
This is a serious matter. I believe you don't instill discipline after an act of indiscipline.
Right.
Discipline is something that you put in your child before there are any issues, before they make mistakes, before they do the wrong thing. When the wrong thing comes and you want to punish, actually you are putting the person who has done that mistake or the wrong, basically giving them pain. You are not correcting what was not taught earlier. Discipline is basically teaching, making your child know that this is wrong, don't do it for this reason. You know, we were beaten, as my wife has just said, we were playing in the rain, and reasons that we were given when you were young probably would be those which include you'll get malaria. And as you grow up, you come to the malaria doesn't come from the rain.
Mosquito.
Actually, something else.
Mosquito.
Exactly. You should have been covered very well in the house so that you don't get it. But when you play in the rain, for some reason, you get sick. You see, somebody else might grow up doing the same, and you find challenges today because it's not possible for you to do those sort of things and say them. These children know better now. So we need to instill this one before that mistake is done, so that they know there are going to be consequences if you do this.
So I want Maureen to tell us about what initially we would call excessive discipline, but now we are rightfully calling it consequences, punishing the consequences. Yes.
Okay, in the past, a parent could, a child could do a mistake and then you're caned before even realizing your mistake. And then maybe your parent didn't teach you that when you do this, then it is a mistake. But you're caned. You will feel bitter. But currently...
You're facing the consequences of something that you don't even know about.
And you're caned to the point that you feel that some may even start asking themselves, is this my parent? Was I adopted? Was I brought by an auntie to come and live with this person? But when we teach our children the right way to go, when they do mistakes, they will realize and feel guilty even before you cane him.
That is why Paul says that when there was no sin, he didn't know about the law. But when the law came, he knew about sin, and he says, I died. So whenever we sin, even as Christians, we sin because we are aware that there is the law and there are consequences to that. Let's talk about parenting now in the 21st century. What is happening on the ground? Are kids trained or disciplined the way they should? What is happening? Solo.
Dave, I love that. But you'll allow me, I've been brought up in a Christian house where my dad is a pastor. And you'll allow me to quote texts. And I want to give the example of Samuel and Eli. Eli was the high priest. But you realize that his sons became something else. Later on, Samuel comes up and takes over from where even the children were supposed to be the ones. But I have a problem which She's going to read for us in the book of 1 Samuel. Is it chapter 8 or chapter 3?
Chapter
8 verses 3.
Yes.
Yeah, let her read it.
Verse 3 says, and his sons walked not in his ways.
And his sons walked not in his ways. This is now Samuel. And remember, Samuel was brought up when Hannah, the mother, had cried so much from barrenness. And God blessed Hannah. He is now placed to replace Eli. He is supposed to guide his children. But get what is happening to the children. Just continue with verses 3.
And his sons walked not in his ways, but turned aside after lucre, and took bribes, and perverted judgment.
Took bribes and perverted justice. These are the sons of a person or a man of God. When you look at that, it is happening in the contemporary society. We have trained our children. They've gone to the highest level. But what is happening in the book of Ephesians chapter 6 verses 4 is now not happening. Because we are told not to bring wrath for our children.
Just hold on to that thought. Something is coming to my mind that Samuel is a priest.
Yes.
And his children are wayward children.
Correct.
Samuel and his two sons are two different people.
Correct.
Does it matter? I am a pastor and my child is a drunkard. Richard?
It matters, Dave. It matters because these are children whom God has given us. They are in our care, and we need to put them in that right way. Remember, all of us, we men and our wives, men are priests in our own houses. And therefore, the expectation that was there for Samuel is still here with us. You know, so it really matters. I think in some places probably this would be a reason for either you taking leadership or not, even taking leadership. How is your family? How have you brought up your family? When it looks like it's not good enough, then it may become a problem for you even as you go forward. Just 1 minute, just one thing I want to say, Dave. Priest or no priest, you know, there are challenges. And these challenges, I could be a priest and I'm not good at taking care of my children. I'm not giving them what they need to have while they're still young. And some examples are a little too far for our children. Where I go to my office, my child probably doesn't even come to see me there. They don't know how I work there. But they just know this, my father is this and is that. That may not impact them very well. I want to think that without really saying that Samuel failed, I want to think that any child who is brought up according to what the Bible says should be a good child, regardless of whether the father is a priest or not.
There is a lot for us to discuss, but because of time, I want us to briefly talk about absentee parents. You want to go first?
Yeah, there's a friend of mine, I'll use an example. She has a child, but I think she's now too busy for the child.
TB.
Yeah, the TB.
Too busy.
Too busy parents, yeah, there's that aspect. This lady always lets now the TV now train the child. He decides to put cartoons so that the child is busy. Then she just puts the cartoon, puts a protein next to the table there. Then she puts snacks, not even food, the yogurts, the crisps. That's what she puts for the child on the table. Then she switches on the TV, then closes the door and goes to work. Leaves the child alone there. Now the child the child just eats the snacks. If she feels like doing the things, she goes to the potty, then the cartoon is there. If she sleeps, just on the couch there. I don't think if that's the right thing that we are doing.
Absentee parents.
Okay,
And maybe just to cue you, may want to also talk about house helps with children left under their care.
Okay, according to how I feel it should be. It should be according to the way the Bible says. But you find in the contemporary society that is not what happens. A parent can be in the house. Maybe he has come back at 7, but he is present but absent. Like you come to the house, you assume you're too tired. Your kids are making noise for you. You decide to tell them, Daddy, sit, I'm putting for you a cartoon, watch. When he gets tired of that, you find something else to put him to do. Instead of sitting with this kid to play with him, to teach him. So it is not just a matter of being away, but there is also absent parents who
But
are
present.
right inside the house.
Thank you. Because of time, I just want each one of us to give their final submissions, and I want to start with Tabby. Tabby, you have about 30 seconds to do this.
Wow, time is short, right?
Yeah, it is.
I want to encourage my viewer. If you have a job, that is a blessing. But remember, you also have another blessing of a child. We entrust our children with house girls. We do not even know their background. We do not even know their gods that they serve. Yes, I mean it. And yet, when we leave our children with these house helps and we lock our bedrooms, I don't know which one is more important. Is it the bedroom or the child? Learn to have time with your child, bond with your child, because right now we have a lot of bad energy that is within, that if you do not have time with your child might not even know God.
Thank you, Tabby. Maureen, 15 seconds.
Okay, I may urge parents, including me, that we find time with our kids, we teach them the right things, and we don't wholly entrust them to the house helps, because we do not know the background of the house help. You do not know what she teaches your child when you're away. And when it happens that you're working and you come back, please take charge of your children.
Thank you. Solo?
A lot can be
10
said,
seconds.
but just give me the 10 seconds. One, Airtel company, they believe in making life better. That is what some families were. But now they've turned to be just explosions. Their children are physically in the university, but mentally, their minds are still wrapped up in nappies because they've not given the right dose which are supposed to be done. One, the internally displaced parents, a time has come, they have to go back home. The IDPs. The too busy, the TB, the ones who are suffering from the disease TB, let us now stop being too busy for our children. At this point, you can be too busy for them, but I promise you, tomorrow they will be too busy for you.
Thank you. Linda?
What I can say is Proverbs chapter, the chapter that says that train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he'll never depart. May God bless you.
Richard?
Thank you, Dave. These are very difficult times for our children. 21st century is not an easy one because we are in the age of gadgets, and we're in the age where everything is learned from machines. They learn without feeling. They learn without seeing, and things which are kept in the gadgets are very graphic. Some of them are very unrealistic. The 21st century is a challenging time for the parent as well. They want to look for things, they want to get away in life, and they put away their children. This should not be. The ideal situation is, let us go back to our places.
Thank you.
Let us go back to our children.
Thank you.
Let us be parents as according to what God wants
Thank
us
you.
to be.
The question is, who is teaching your child? Tune in for more. This is Family Times. God bless you.